Welcome to NPJR, where we explore the great outdoors one national park at a time. I'm Justin.
And I'm Robin. We encourage you to pause the podcast at any time and discuss some of our talking points or try answering our trail trivias. Today, we're heading to our favorite national park, Glacier National Park.
Located in the Rocky Mountains of northwest Montana, Glacier National Park is a breathtaking natural treasure spanning over 1 million acres of pristine wilderness, making it the 12th largest national park. Established on May 11, 1910, as the United States' 8th national park, Glacier is often referred to as the crown of the continent. The park is also a critical part of the world's first international peace park, formed in partnership with Canada's Waterton Lakes National Park in 1932, symbolizing cross-border conservation and friendship.
Glacier is currently home to 26 named glaciers that meet the size criteria of 0.1 square kilometers, which is about 0.4 square miles, or roughly 25 acres. The number of glaciers has significantly decreased due to climate change, as there were over 150 glaciers in the 19th century. The park is also home to several unnamed glaciers, rock glaciers, and snowfields. Visitors flock to experience the park's Going to the Sun Road, a 50-mile scenic highway renowned for its stunning views and engineering marvels. With over 700 miles of trails, countless alpine lakes showcasing the unparalleled glacial meltwater and abundant wildlife, Glacier is a haven for trail lovers, adventurers, photographers, and nature enthusiasts.
Glacier's elevation ranges from just over 3,000 feet at its lowest point, near the Flathead River, to 10,466 feet at the summit of Mount Cleveland, the park's highest peak. Glacier's northern location and high elevation mean it has a short peak season for ideal weather, typically limited to July and August. As a result, most of the park's 3.2 million visitors in 2024 arrived during these 2 summer months, when the iconic Going to the Sun Road is open. The park's busiest year on record was 2017, with over 3.3 million visitors. Since its designation as a national park, Glacier has welcomed more than 128 million visitors.
Interesting facts about Glacier include its distinction as a UNESCO World Heritage Site and Biosphere Reserve. The park's unique position at the meeting point of several ecosystems, prairie, forest, and alpine tundra, supports one of the most diverse habitats in the national park system. Iconic species like grizzly bears, mountain goats, moose, and bighorn sheep roam its landscapes, and its waters are among the purest in the world, sustaining native fish species like the threatened bull trout.
Trail trivia. What gives Glacier's lakes the unique, beautiful blue color? It's called glacial till, which is a mixture of rocks, gravel, sand, silt, and clay that is left behind when a glacier melts. It's created as the glacier slowly moves across the landscape, grinding up bedrock beneath it like a giant sheet of sandpaper. This process creates a very fine powdery sediment known as many things, including glacial flour, glacial milk, rock dust, rock flour, and rock powder. When glaciers melt, they carry this glacial flour into lakes and rivers.
The unique blue color of many glacial lakes, like the ones you see in Glacier National Park, comes from this glacial flour suspended in the water. Here's how it works. The fine particles are so small that they don't settle to the bottom quickly. Instead, they stay suspended in the water, scattering sunlight. The sunlight that hits the water contains all colors, but the fine sediment reflects and scatters mostly blue and green wavelengths. This gives the lakes their striking turquoise, teal, or milky blue color. So, the next time you see that incredible blue in a glacial lake, you're actually seeing the result of thousands of years of ice grinding rock into flour and sunlight bouncing off of it in just the right way.
The land now known as Glacier National Park has been cherished by humans for thousands of years. The human history here is as rich and varied as its landscapes. The Blackfeet, Salish, and Kootenai tribes considered the region sacred, with its towering peaks and verdant valleys woven into the spiritual beliefs and cultural practices. The Blackfeet, in particular, referred to the area as the backbone of the world. The Blackfeet Nation, who live east of the park, have deep spiritual connections to the land. They believe the towering peaks were created by Napi, the Old Man, a key figure in their creation stories. The western regions of the park were traditionally used by the Salish and Kootenai, who hunted and gathered in the area's abundant valleys.
In the 19th century, European fur trappers and settlers arrived, drawn by the region's abundant wildlife and natural resources. By the late 1800s, as the western frontier developed, explorers and surveyors began mapping the area, uncovering its potential for tourism and conservation. Railroad companies, particularly the Great Northern Railway, played a pivotal role in promoting Glacier as a destination. Recognizing the region's natural beauty, they built lodges and chalets, many of which remain today, like the Lake McDonald Lodge and many Glacier Hotel, blending Swiss-style architecture with the rugged mountain landscape.
In 1910, President William Howard Taft signed the legislation establishing Glacier National Park, making it one of the earliest parks in the system. The iconic Going to the Sun Road, completed in 1933, opened up the park to more visitors, allowing for easier access to its most remote areas.
Today, Glacier's cultural heritage continues through the stories of park rangers, conservationists, and local communities who work to preserve its history and ecosystems. Native American tribes actively collaborate with the NPS to honor their ancestral ties and share their perspectives on the land. Over the decades, Glacier has faced numerous challenges, from climate change threatening its glaciers to increasing visitor numbers impacting its ecosystems. Conservation efforts continue to prioritize the protection of this fragile and iconic landscape for future generations.
Another challenge Glacier faced in the mid-1900s was the growing issue of human-wildlife interactions, made worse by poor management practices, particularly the widespread feeding of bears. These policies led to increasingly dangerous encounters, culminating on a stormy night in 1967 that brought national attention to the problem. Maybe the most famous event in national park history, The Night of the Grizzlies, a book by journalist Jack Olson, refers to a tragic and pivotal event that occurred on the night of August 12, 1967, in Glacier. On that night, in two separate and unrelated incidences on opposite sides of the park, two young women, Julie Helgeson and Michelle Coons, were killed by grizzly bears.
These were the first recorded fatal bear attacks in the park's history, and they occurred within hours of each other, forever changing how wildlife management was handled in national parks. In the years leading up to the attacks, human behavior and park policies inadvertently contributed to growing bear aggression. Campers frequently left food scraps near campsites, and bears were often fed garbage at park dumps, which became popular attractions for visitors. Bears began to associate people with food, losing their natural fear and becoming more aggressive and bold. Despite warning signs and minor incidents, park officials did not fully anticipate or address the growing risk.
On the night of the attacks, Julie Helgeson and a friend were camping near Granite Park Chalet, where a known bear had been active. That bear attacked Helgeson in the early morning hours, fatally wounding her. Across the park at Trout Lake, Michelle Coons was also fatally attacked while camping with friends. Both attacks were unprecedented in the park's history and sent shockwaves through Glacier and the National Park Service.
The aftermath of the Night of the Grizzlies led to a major overhaul in bear management policies across national parks. Glacier permanently closed open-air garbage dumps, implemented strict food storage and waste disposal regulations, and launched educational campaigns to teach visitors how to safely coexist with wildlife. Rangers also became more proactive in identifying and removing problem bears. The tragic events of that night became a turning point in the history of wildlife conservation, emphasizing the importance of respecting natural animal behavior and reducing human impact on wild environments.
Bear attacks in Glacier are rare, averaging just one per year, and are almost always non-fatal. That said, it's essential to stay informed about current bear activity before entering the park and to understand the key differences in how to respond to encounters with black bears versus grizzly bears. We've covered these safety tips in previous episodes and strongly encourage everyone to do their homework before venturing into wild areas. In Glacier's history, there have been 10 fatal bear attacks. Only 3 involved hikers, and 2 of those were solo hikers.
Outdoor and wilderness safety education, along with basic first aid training, should be a top priority when planning any trip into remote areas, especially where self-service is limited and emergency help may be far away. While bear safety often gets the spotlight, it's just one of many important topics to understand. Statistically, visitors to national parks are far more likely to experience incidents due to drowning or motor vehicle accidents than from wildlife encounters. In fact, drowning and vehicle-related fatalities are the 2 leading causes of death in national park units, while animal attacks rank at the bottom of the list, 12th out of 12 total categories tallied by the NPS.
The geologic story of Glacier is one of immense time, tectonic forces, and ancient environments. The foundation of the park was laid over 1.5 billion years ago during the Precambrian era, when shallow seas covered what is now northwest Montana. Over millions of years, layers of sedimentary rock composed of mud, sand, and lime-rich material accumulated and eventually hardened into formations like the Belt Supergroup, which dominates much of Glacier's visible landscape today. These rocks are notable not only for their age, but also for containing some of the oldest and best preserved fossilized algae and early life forms, giving scientists rare insight into Earth's early biosphere.
The most dramatic event in Glacier's geologic history came about 170 million years ago during the formation of the Rocky Mountains. A massive uplift known as the Lewis Overthrust Fault occurred, where a huge slab of ancient Precambrian rock measuring roughly 3 miles thick, 50 miles wide, and 160 miles long was thrust eastward over much younger Cretaceous rock. This unusual phenomenon created the park's iconic towering peaks where older rock lies atop younger rock, defying the typical geological order.
During the last ice age, which peaked around 20,000 years ago, massive glaciers carved deep U-shaped valleys, sharpened mountain ridges, and sculpted cirques, which are a half-open, steep-sided hollow at the head of a valley or on a mountainside, formed by glacial erosion, and hanging valleys throughout the park. Although most of those glaciers have since retreated, their legacy remains etched into the landscape, and a few small glaciers like Grinnell and Sperry still persist today, though rapidly shrinking due to climate change.
In essence, the glacier we see today is the product of ancient seas, tectonic collisions, and the slow but powerful movement of ice, a testament to the dynamic and layered history of Earth itself. Glaciers have shaped both the landscape and the story of Glacier National Park from the beginning. Indigenous peoples long referred to the region as the place where there is a lot of ice and the land of the shining mountains, inspired by the bright snow and ice seen from the plains.
The first recorded sighting of a glacier by a white American came in 1873, when Lieutenant John Van Orsdale crossed Cutbank Pass. A decade later, conservationist George Bird Grinnell and John H. Beacom photographed what would become known as Grinnell Glacier. Nearly 40 years later, in 1920, photographer T.J. Heilman returned to the same spot, creating one of the earliest examples of repeat photography, a tool still used today to document glacial retreat.
In 1906, glacial geologist Francois Matisse suggested naming the proposed park Glacier Park, noting its 50 ice bodies and 200 lakes. The name became official when the park was established in 1910. Soon after, the U.S. Geological Survey sent William C. Eldon to study the glaciers. His 1914 report opened with, "Glacier National Park derives its name and much of its interest from the presence of many small glaciers."
Despite early skepticism, one Montana paper warned the name would make the state sound cold and uninviting. Tourists were drawn to the novelty of real glaciers. The Great Northern Railway capitalized on this fascination, using glacier imagery in its advertising. Though today's glaciers are retreating rapidly, their presence continues to inspire awe. Thanks to repeat photography, we can clearly see that while the glaciers once symbolized permanence, they are in fact dynamic and impermanent features of this ever-changing landscape.
Plants and animals. Glaciers' diverse ecosystems, ranging from lush valleys to alpine tundra, are home to extraordinary variety of plants and animals with around 1,132 plant species, 277 bird species, and 71 species of mammals. This rich biodiversity is one of the park's most unique features. Here, species typical of northern Canada, the Pacific coast, and the Great Plains coexist with alpine species from the Rocky Mountains, creating unusual and fascinating combinations of plant and animal life.
One of the reasons for this diversity is the park's location. Glacier straddles the Continental Divide at the narrowest point of the Rocky Mountains, bringing together ecological communities from east and west in a way that happens nowhere else along the divide. Also, 3 major rivers, the Saskatchewan, Missouri, and Columbia, originate near one another in this region, creating important corridors that allow plants and animals to move across the continent.
The park's dramatic elevation changes also contribute to its varied habitats. These differences in elevation and terrain create a range of microclimates. The east side experiences warmer Chinook winds in winter and stronger, drier winds year-round, resulting in wider temperature swings. While overall precipitation is similar on both sides of the park, these conditions make the east side seem much drier than the more sheltered, stable west. Trail trivia. What state in the U.S. has Earth's record for largest temperature swing in a 24-hour period?
Montana. Specifically the small town of Loma, Montana, which is just over 100 air miles from East Glacier. On January 15, 1972, the temperature there rose from negative 54 degrees Fahrenheit to 49 degrees Fahrenheit, a change of 103 degrees Fahrenheit in just 24 hours. This record-breaking change is attributed to strong Chinook winds. Back to Glacier. The Avalanche Lake Trail on Glacier National Park's west side, which we hiked with our friends Adam and Ashley, winds through a cool, lush, cedar hemlock forest. This shaded environment is dominated by towering west red cedar and hemlock trees, alongside ferns and other shade-loving plants. Western red cedars, with their fibrous, spiraling bark, reach the eastern edge of their range here, aligned perfectly with the easternmost reach of the Pacific Northwest maritime climate. Some trees in the lower Avalanche Creek area are more than 500 years old.
In contrast, just a few miles away on the drier east side of the Continental Divide, lodgepole pines dominate. These trees have small, resin-sealed cones specially adapted for fire. The heat of wildfires melts the resin, releasing seeds into nutrient-rich, sunlit soil. This fire-adapted strategy is part of a broader pattern. Glacier's varied topography, climate, fire frequency, soils, and geology create a remarkable diversity of plant communities and, in turn, wildlife.
Forests on both sides of the park provide shelter and food for animals like bears and mountain lions. Higher up, rocky cliffs are home to mountain goats, marmots, and ptarmigan. Waterways support beavers, muskrats, ducks, and other aquatic birds, while flower-filled meadows attract elk, coyotes, hawks, and many small mammals.
Each habitat brings unique survival challenges. Mountain goats, for example, have thick coats for warmth and specialized hooves for gripping cliffs. On the windy eastern slopes, the bright pink Douglasia plant, a common subspecies being the cliff dwarf primrose, has adapted with fuzzy leaves to conserve water and a compact shape to resist the wind.
This variety in landscape and life is part of what makes Glacier such an extraordinary place. Together, these geographic and climatic factors help support the exceptional biodiversity that makes Glacier so ecologically special. On the NPS website, they highlight many ferns, grasses, mosses and liverworts, trees and shrubs, and wildflowers. Too many to cover in one episode. Same goes for the animal section. This website is incredibly thorough and worth checking out. The link is in the show notes.
The park supports a botanical treasure trove. In the lower valleys, visitors can explore the lush cedar hemlock forest we mentioned, remnants of an ancient ecosystem that thrives in the park's wetter regions. As elevation increases, these forests give way to subalpine fir, Engelmann spruce, and colorful wildflowers like beargrass, Indian paintbrush, and glacier lilies. Above treeline, hardy alpine plants cling to life in rocky soils, painting the high-altitude meadows with seasonal bursts of color.
Huckleberries, a wild mountain treasure. Huckleberries are a beloved wild fruit native to the mountainous regions of the northwest U.S., particularly Montana. In Glacier, they hold a special place, not only as a seasonal treat for visitors and locals, but as an essential food source for wildlife like black bears and grizzlies. Every summer, from mid-July to early September, the park's sunny slopes and forest edges come alive with ripe, purple-black huckleberries. These berries grow on small shrubs and resemble blueberries, though their flavor is richer and a bit more tart.
Unlike many commercial fruits, huckleberries are almost never cultivated. They thrive best in wild, high-altitude environments and are notoriously difficult to grow outside their natural habitat. Because of this, huckleberry picking has become both a cherished tradition and a rare, sought-after experience. Near Glacier, visitors can enjoy huckleberry-flavored ice cream, jam, syrup, shakes, and our favorite huckleberry pie, all made from berries that are harvested by hand, which means they can be expensive.
Beyond their culinary appeal, huckleberries are ecologically vital. Bears may consume tens of thousands of them per day during peak season, using the berries as a key part of their diet to build fat reserves before winter. Birds, deer, and smaller mammals also depend on them for nourishment.
So whether you're savoring huckleberry treats at a local lodge or spotting bear scat full of purple berry skins on the trail, remember, huckleberries are more than just a tasty fruit. They're a symbol of the wilderness and a vital thread in the fabric of Glacier's ecosystem. Huckleberry might be the most iconic plant species in Glacier. If not,
then beargrass is. Beargrass is one of the most iconic and visually striking plants found in Glacier, and seeing them bloom was a major plant highlight of our time there. Despite its name, beargrass is not actually a grass. It's a member of the corn lily family and is more closely related to lilies than grasses. The plant's name is thought to come from the fact that bears have been seen using the tall, flowering stalks for bedding material, or perhaps because they forage among the plant for food.
Beargrass grows in clumps of long, narrow, tough, evergreen leaves that resemble coarse grass. These clumps can live for many years without blooming, often going a decade or more before producing a flower stalk. When conditions are just right, beargrass will send up a tall, slender stalk that can reach up to 6 feet in height. The stalk is topped with a dense cluster of small, creamy white flowers that bloom in a dramatic and often synchronized display across hillsides. This flowering usually occurs from late June through early August and can transform entire mountainsides into a sea of white. Don't be alarmed like we initially were when you notice that many of these creamy white blooms have been eaten from the main stalk. It is most likely sheep, deer, elk, and goats, not bears, that have been munching on them.
In Glacier, beargrass thrives in subalpine meadows, open forests, and along trail edges. It is especially abundant in areas that have been shaped by wildfires. Fire plays a significant role in the ecology of beargrass. The plant is fire adapted, with rhizomes that can survive underground and sprout again after a burn. In fact, fires often promote widespread flowering of beargrass in the following years by reducing competition and allowing more sunlight to reach the forest floor.
Beargrass also plays an important role in the ecosystem. Its leaves are used by animals for bedding, and its flowers are a food source for insects. Native peoples, including the Blackfeet and Salish, traditionally use the leaves of beargrass for weaving baskets and mats, appreciating the plant's strength and flexibility when dried.
Visitors to Glacier often admire beargrass for its unique beauty and photogenic blooms. While not guaranteed to flower every year, when it does, beargrass provides a breathtaking reminder of the intricate relationships between plants, wildlife, fire, and time in the mountain ecosystems of Glacier National Park.
Glacier is renowned for its charismatic megafauna. The park is one of the few places in the contiguous U.S. where visitors can see grizzly bears and gray wolves in their natural habitat. Other mammals include mountain goats, the park's official symbol, bighorn sheep, moose, and elusive predators like the Canada lynx and wolverine.
Like the plant section of the NPS website, the animal section is equally extensive, far too much to cover everything we'd like to in a single episode. There are 6 known species of amphibians and only 3 confirmed species of reptiles in the park. The common garter snake and western terrestrial garter snake, sometimes called the wandering garter snake, and western painted turtles. Only a few sightings of the rubber boa have been made in the park, none documented. They are probably present, but nocturnal feeding habits, they feed mostly on small rodents, make them difficult to locate. Aquatic life thrives in the park's pristine lakes and streams, with native and invasive fish species like the threatened bull trout and cutthroat trout calling these waters home, just to name a few. And because there are over 270 bird species, Glacier is a birdwatcher's paradise. Before we jump into a junior ranger activity, let's take a moment to talk about the park's official symbol, the mountain goat.
Mountain goats, the iconic climbers of Glacier. Mountain goats are among the most iconic and visually striking animals found in North America's alpine regions. Known for their shaggy white coats, incredible climbing abilities, and calm demeanor, these animals are perfectly adapted to life in the steep, rugged high country. Nowhere is this more evident than in Glacier National Park, where mountain goats are not only a beloved sight for visitors, but have also become the official symbol of the park.
Despite their name, mountain goats are not true goats, but are more closely related to antelopes and gazelles. They are built for extreme terrain with stocky, muscular bodies and strong legs that help them navigate steep cliffs and rocky outcrops. Specialized hooves with rough pads give them incredible traction on slippery or narrow surfaces. Their double-layered coats, with a woolly underlayer and coarse outer hairs, keep them warm in the freezing temperatures typical of their alpine habitats, even in the heart of winter. Trail trivia. What are male mountain goats called? Billies. Back-to-back trail trivia. What are female mountain goats called?
Female mountain goats are called nannies. Both the billies and nannies have short, black, slightly curved horns. While males are larger, weighing up to 300 pounds, the two sexes are often difficult to distinguish from a distance. Nannies are fiercely protective of their young, called kids, and will defend them from predators, including bears and cougars, with surprising aggression and determination. Mountain goats in Glacier are typically found at high elevations, often above the tree line. They prefer rocky cliffs and ledges, which provide both food and protection from predators. Their diet consists mainly of grasses, herbs, mosses, and lichen in the summer, with bark and twigs added in winter when snow covers the vegetation.
They are generally solitary animals, though they may gather in small groups, especially in summer when food is plentiful. Nannies and their kids tend to stay in loose herds, while billies often roam alone. During the breeding season in late fall, however, males seek out females, competing with one another in dramatic clashes.
While mountain goats are impressive in many ways, a few of their traits stand out as especially unusual. For instance, they are capable of climbing nearly vertical rock faces and are often seen resting or grazing in places that seem inaccessible. Studies have shown that mountain goats can leap nearly 12 feet in a single bound, an invaluable skill for navigating treacherous alpine terrain.
Another lesser-known fact is that mountain goats will sometimes descend from their lofty heights to seek out natural mineral licks, traveling long distances to find essential nutrients. In Glacier, they have been known to venture down near trails and roadsides where human activity provides access to salt or sweat left behind by visitors. While this behavior creates incredible photo opportunities, it's also a reminder of the importance of keeping wildlife wild, not encouraging close encounters, and the leave no trace principles and pack it in, pack it out.
For visitors lucky enough to spot a mountain goat during their travels, it's often a highlight of the trip, like it was for us while we were there. Watching these sure-footed climbers navigate their vertical world offers a profound sense of respect for the wildlife that calls Glacier home, and reinforces the park's mission to preserve these extraordinary creatures and their habitat for generations to come. Now, a junior ranger activity.
In regards to the Junior Ranger program, Glacier's NPS website is more extensive than any we have covered to date. On the website, there are pages that link to booklets for 12 individual programs, including Park Explorer, Wildland Firefighter, Railroad Explorer, Sounds Explorer, Spaceflight Explorer, Angler, Cave Scientist, Night Skies Explorer, Archaeologist, Underwater Explorer, Paleontologist, and Underground Railroad Explorer. These are part of the National Themes Junior Ranger program.
In addition to Junior Ranger programs specific to their site, many parks also offer these additional booklets. These activity booklets help kids connect to topics that are important to many places across the National Park Service. Kids, families, and the young at heart are invited to become Junior Rangers. People of all abilities are welcome.
Glacier National Park does not appear to have a dedicated online Junior Ranger program of their own as of this recording. Instead, they offer the links to these theme programs. However, they do offer on-site Junior Ranger programs and Ranger-led activities. Robin and I live in a state where wildfire awareness is important, and this same awareness, education, and preparedness applies to Glacier. I've drawn inspiration from the Wildland Firefighter Junior Ranger Handbook to create an activity. One important thing to have prepared when in a high fire danger area at the peak of fire season is a go bag. This is a bag that is always ready to grab and go in a moment's notice. When preparing your go bag, what are the essential items you would pack?
An ideal go bag is more than just one bag. Here's a list of the recommended emergency evacuation items to have ready to go at a moment's notice. Water and food, sleeping bags, a warm waterproof layer, map and evacuation routes, medications, change of clothes, eyeglasses or contact lenses, first aid kit, sanitation supplies like toilet paper and other sanitary items, flashlight and extra batteries, if applicable, important documents like copies of birth certificates, passports, insurance information, extra car keys, credit cards or cash, pet food and water carriers and leashes, any small irreplaceable items, portable cell phone charger, notepad, pen, pencil. If you could only take 10 items with you, what would you choose? Pause the podcast or wait until the episode ends and think about the things you truly couldn't live without. What would make it into your bag?
As Smokey Bear says, only you can prevent wildfires. And it's true. About 90% of wildfires are caused by humans. With proper care and attention, nearly all wildfires can be prevented. Normally, this is the part of the episode where we share our personal experiences and tips for accessing and exploring the park. However, because we could talk about Glacier for hours, we're wrapping up this portion of our Glacier episode here and continuing it in our Trail Lovers episode at the end of the month.
If you're curious to hear about our wildlife encounters, including a grizzly bear, moose, mountain goats, and bighorn sheep, be sure to tune in to our Trail Lovers episode, which will follow our upcoming Trail Trivia episode featuring all things Glacier. July and August are the best months to visit Glacier, so what better way to celebrate our favorite park and one of the most breathtaking places we've ever been than by dedicating the entire month of July here on the podcast to Glacier National Park.
Glacier National Park is a testament to nature's grandeur and resilience. From its towering peaks and ancient glaciers to its diverse flora, fauna, and rich cultural history, the park continues to inspire awe and reverence. Whether driving the Going to the Sun Road, hiking its rugged trails, or simply gazing at its star-filled skies, Glacier offers countless ways to connect with the natural world. As the crown of the continent, it serves as a reminder of the importance of preserving our planet's most cherished places for generations to come.
If you haven't visited Glacier yet, we hope this inspired you to add it to your bucket list. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like, share, and follow us for more outdoor adventures. And to all you Junior Rangers out there, good luck on earning your badge. And hey, if you've earned a Junior Ranger badge recently, send us a picture. We'd love to see it.
And if you want, feel free to share your latest story from your time in a national park unit. Who knows, maybe we will mention it in one of our upcoming episodes. Be sure to include in the email that you grant us permission to share your story. I will include our email address, npjrpodcast@gmail.com, in our show notes. And feel free to follow us on our adventures on Instagram, @npjrpodcast. Until next time, happy trails. And remember, the earth is ours to explore and protect. So let's get out there and do it.
Explore.
Learn.
And protect.